Yeah, once in a while I get a little bit of a little bit of stick for using other people's material on my channel, but I don't really feel that I have any option. I mean, basically, the best way to demonstrate how to do it right is to show what happens when you do it wrong. And I've kind of been working on this for a little bit, and I think now, thanks to Brettski and his horrendous, very brief session at blackjack, I think I'm going to start a whole series now, and this is just chapter one. But this was a perfect example of a guy doing himself enormous damage, and there was no need for it. You know, it was like he wanted to do it. It was like it was part of some sort of act, some sort of performance. And I don't see who benefits from this sort of thing. I really don't. I mean, I certainly have to accept that I don't understand everything. I don't know everything. I mean, I've lived a long time, but I'm certainly not a genius like the two Looney Tunes in the well, never mind. Uh, but I look at something like this and I think, why? That's really what it's about. You know, you watch sessions, blackjack sessions, baccarat, whatever it might be. Well, I don't bother about any of the other games, to be honest, and certainly not slots. But you watch sessions like the one that Brettski just endured, and you got to think these guys are being paid or somehow compensated for throwing their money away. I mean, the whole thing was absolute madness. The flat AV at the end, that's actual value, as I'm sure most of you know. At the end of that was an 18.2% edge for the house. Okay, and he could have run away at any point during during that session. I mean, not because there's a magical kind of like rule that says if you go somewhere else you won't be you won't be beaten up. All it means is that when there is a marked, definite, repeated departure from the norm in these games, which is basically ping pong back and forth, with an edge for the house, absolutely for certain, but nonetheless a reasonable back and forth. And if you don't get that right from the get-go, and he had four consecutive losses, then one win, then a loss, then a win, then four consecutive losses, five if you count the double that he just lost. I mean, it boggles the brain. It really does, because what's the point of enduring this kind of crap? I mean, is it for drama? Is it for a big ad for the casino? I just don't, there's obviously something wrong with me, because I just don't get who benefits from this. Certainly not his tens, hundreds of thousands of fans. Does it help the casino to have somebody posting a video in which he gets his ass kicked? I mean, I don't get that. And I don't know, it's all a bit of a mystery. But anyway, what it comes down to is the algorithm here would have delivered a win. It's been bloody hard work, and it couldn't have done it without some very big bets. But at the end of it, the algorithm came out with, let's see, an average win of 3,944, average loss of 2,520. So that's 157%, which kicked the shit out of the 18.2 house edge. And that's basically what it's about. And yeah, people will look at a presentation, a demo like this, and say, oh, well, that's bloody ridiculous. There's just no way anybody can afford to bet like that. But all I'm trying to say with all of these demos, day after day, week after week, bloody month after month, is if you can't afford to win, you shouldn't take on these games, because the casino has more firepower than you do. So if you're going to go into a bloody gunfight with a wet noodle, then you deserve to get beaten. I mean, I much prefer going to a burrito, taking a taco to a burrito fight. But anyway, whatever you want to call it, these guys who don't chase winning streaks, don't make the most of opportunities, who bend over for the most horrible treatment, surely there must be some explanation for their behavior other than the fact that they are, well, brain damaged. I mean, let's look at Brettski's little session here, because I typed in all his stuff. I couldn't bring myself to put a chart in there for what happened to him, because he just got killed. I mean, here he had a chance. This long stretch here, he had three P's, 3-player wins. All right, then he lost a double, but then 2-player wins after that. He could easily have recovered his losses in there, but he chose not to do that. He chose to just bend over and get his ass kicked. And you've got to think, all right, well, if that's how somebody wants to be, maybe it's what they need, maybe it's what they want, maybe it's how they get their jollies, or just maybe they're getting their money back somehow. It's a mystery, right? Yeah, I just want to add that the obviously the bets that the algorithm is using here to beat this load of crap that Brettski had to put up with, or he didn't have to put up with it, he chose to put up with. They're huge, but there is no strategy in the world which will enable you to bet a narrow, tight betting spread, say from 25 to 500 or 500 to 5,000 or whatever. A tight spread, 1 to 10 is very, very tight, way, way beyond any possibility of winning long term. 1 to 100 is not great. 25 to 25,000 is, well, that's getting close. But it can't be done. There is no logical support for the idea that you can beat negative expectation with random betting, flat betting, or a tight betting spread, especially if it's randomly applied. It just can't be done. I mean, if I change this up here to, let's say, what's that going to be if I make that 10? There we go. We get in the crapper, because we've hit the limit here, and there's just no way that we could get out. We came a little bit close right here, but then got hurt. If you bring it down to 20, it can't be done. But it's so simple. It's so obvious that it can't be done. And yet there's millions of people out there who just don't care. It's like what they're saying is, okay, there's a brick wall over there. I'm going to go and bang my head against it until my head is cracked and bloody. And then I'm going to go home and I'm going to say, oh, I had a great time. It was such fun. The booze was terrific. Great time by the pool. Food was great. I'm just out of step. Let's face it. I am just out of step. What did we say? 2 up here? That's not enough. No, that wasn't 2. That was 25. That was idiotic. Okay, so you go to 12,500. So you're looking at, something sensible, for goodness sake. But this is how you win. You cannot win by praying. You can't win by hoping for luck, because the house gets as much luck as you do and just a little bit more because they have a slight edge. It's like all these things that I put up on these demos, these presentations, or whatever. Every so often I'll throw up the Nevada gaming numbers, because they show that the tiny weeny percentages that the mathematicians like to quote as being, oh yeah, well, if there's a negative 1.3% expectation, then you will lose 1.3% of your bankroll over time. It's all bullshit. It's absolute nonsense. But the numbers from the Nevada people, from the Gaming Commission, as they call it, they don't like to call it gambling in Nevada. It has to be gaming. It's so weird. But those numbers that they produce every so often, they tell the whole story, and nobody's paying attention. And then you get the big mouth guys who pretend that they're beating the crap out of the casinos for weeks on end, $1 million a night and more. I mean, it's just, oh dear. It's a strange old world, isn't it? Yeah, I think these numbers are always worth dragging out, excuse me, for another go, because they really do, they they are the nitty gritty. They are where the rubber meets the road. They're all those good things. And just in case you haven't caught one of these recently, let's have a look up here. Starting with 21, everybody says, yeah, well, the house edge for 21 is between, 0.5 and 0.7% against the player. Win percent for the casinos is actually 14.25%. Then you've got craps, which is 1.41%, as the mathematicians like to quote it, 16.35%. Roulette, 17%. Ultimate Texas Hold'em, 23%. Three-card poker, 30%. Baccarat, 15%. Mini-bac, 11.5%. I don't know why that is quite. Keno, just a little teensy-weensy bit worse than three-card poker. But the explanation for this is very simple, and that is that if somebody were flat betting all the time, then maybe they might see a loss percentage which sort of like is somewhere close to the expectation for the game. But people don't bet like that. They bet all over the place. It's random betting. It's silly betting. It's Brettski betting. It's Mr. Handpay betting. It's Vegas Matt who's like a sort of a lunatic billionaire the way that he bets. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. They all do this. But Brandon O'Brien, I mean, and then you've got the real Looney Tunes like Dana White and Steve Will Do It and Cody Burnett and so on. I mean, throwing money around like it's nothing. It's a disrespect for money. It's a disrespect for you and me. It's a disrespect for pretty much all the rules that apply in real life, the life that the rest of us have to live. It's just nonsense. It's nonsense. But there you go. It's not illegal. They're allowed to do it. You're allowed to watch it and enjoy it. You're allowed to believe in it. You're allowed to think, if you're dumb enough, that you can behave the way that they do and make a fortune. You can do that if you want. There's no rules against that. But the point is that a shitload of money won't make you a winner. A brilliant plan, like pattern betting, won't make you a winner. Only when you combine the two will you actually get somewhere. And that's why it's just worth me saying again, yes, when I put these demos up, you will see large bets from time to time, and you might say to yourself, well, that's ridiculous. I can't bet like that. Well, that's the whole point, people. If you can't bet like that, if you can't afford to win, don't go to a bloody gunfight with a penknife or a pea shooter or whatever. I mean, come on.